In the early 1800s, the United States was still a young nation, its borders fluid and its ambitions immense. The vast southern territories were sparsely populated, filled with untamed wilderness, rivers, plains, and dense forests that stretched far beyond the reach of law and governance. Along this southern edge, the lands of Texas became a strategic linchpin. While the United States grew in population, trade, and influence to the north and east, the frontier in Texas represented both a promise and a danger. A promise of fertile lands, trade opportunities, and expansion, and a danger in the form of foreign powers, indigenous resistance, and lawlessness. Texas, still technically a frontier of Mexico in the early 1800s, became a magnet for settlers from the United States who sought opportunity, farmland, and freedom. These settlers, known as Texians, brought with them the ideals, traditions, and determination of the young republic. They were rugged, resourceful, and unafraid to stake their claim in a land that challenged every notion of comfort or security. Yet, they were acutely aware that their presence along the frontier made them the first line of defense for a larger national vision. To secure Texas was to safeguard the southern approach to the United States, protecting growing settlements from foreign incursion and ensuring that the nation's ambitions could be realized without compromise. As settlers built homes, forts, and trading posts, skirmishes with native tribes, raiding parties, and distant Mexican authorities became part of daily life. Every patrol along the Rio Grande, every fortified homestead, and every militia drill was a testament to the importance of Texas in America's broader story. Texians were not merely pioneers, they were the guardians of a national frontier, tasked with securing a region that could either anchor the United States' southern ambitions or allow rival powers to challenge them. Across the eastern states, the stories of these hardy settlers and defenders of the frontier circulated in newspapers and letters. Texans became heroes in the imagination of Americans, the embodiment of courage, self-reliance, and the willingness to defend liberty even at the edges of civilization. The landscape itself demanded resilience. The Texas frontier was a land of extremes, scorching summers, bitter winters, relentless rivers, and expansive plains teeming with wildlife. For Texians, survival meant mastering both the land and the ever-present threat of conflict. Each fort, outpost, and patrol became a symbol of America's determination to extend its influence while protecting the freedoms and opportunities that define the nation. It was here, on the edge of civilization, that the United States learned the importance of Texas. Without a strong presence, the southern frontier could falter, jeopardizing the growth, security, and pride of the entire nation. Through these trials, Texans forged an identity intertwined with the destiny of the United States. They were more than settlers. They were the sentinels of the southern boundary, men and women whose courage, discipline, and vision would determine whether America could claim its rightful place as a continental power. The Texas frontier became a proving ground, a place where ordinary citizens transformed into legendary figures, defenders of liberty, champions of expansion, and symbols of the enduring American spirit. Every decision, patrol, and skirmish along this southern edge mattered, laying the foundation for the Texas legacy that would secure the nation for generations. By the mid-1800s, the Texas frontier was no longer just a patch of wilderness. It was a strategic buffer for the United States, separating growing American settlements from potential threats in Mexico and ensuring the security of vital trade routes and towns. Texians, supported by militias and eventually the Texas Rangers, became the eyes, ears, and sword of the nation along this volatile border. Their mission was simple in words, but monumental in reality: protect settlers, monitor enemy movements, and maintain the sovereignty of a region critical to the survival and expansion of the United States. The challenges were immense: raiders, hostile forces, and the harsh elements of the Texas frontier made every day a test of skill, courage, and endurance. Soldiers patrolled long stretches of land, often traveling alone or in small groups, their eyes scanning the horizon for danger. Scouts navigated rivers, canyons, and plains, gathering intelligence on potential threats. Communication with the heart of the nation was slow, meaning that those on the frontier were often forced to make split-second decisions with consequences that could ripple across states and even influence national policy. Every Texian fort, outpost, and cavalry patrol represented more than local security. It symbolized America's commitment to safeguarding its southern approach. Texians became legendary not just for their toughness, but for their innovation and adaptability. They learned to ride, shoot, and survive in a land that tested the limits of human endurance. Raiders could strike without warning, and skirmishes erupted in moments, requiring immediate action. The courage and resolve of these frontier defenders elevated them in the eyes of Americans across the nation, who saw Texas as the embodiment of the values that had made the United States strong: independence, bravery, and a readiness to confront danger head-on. Tales of ambushes thwarted, towns defended, and enemy movements detected circulated widely, instilling pride in citizens thousands of miles away who understood that these actions protected not only Texas, but the broader security and prosperity of the entire United States. Beyond the battlefield, the frontier forged leaders. The Texas Rangers, for example, became a symbol of disciplined courage, strategic thinking, and unwavering loyalty. They patrolled rivers, plains, and settlements, balancing diplomacy with force, ensuring that lawlessness did not destabilize the southern edge of the country. Their actions reinforced the importance of Texas to the United States. Without vigilant and fearless defenders, the frontier could have become a vulnerability, exposing the young nation to challenges that could have slowed its westward expansion and economic growth. Through it all, Texans never wavered. Every sunrise brought new risks: the possibility of attack, the threat of disease, or the challenge of the unforgiving land. Yet their determination never faltered. The southern frontier was America's shield, and Texans stood ready to defend it with every ounce of courage, skill, and ingenuity. In the process, they cemented a legacy that would become central to the story of the United States. A tale of vigilance, bravery, and the unshakable belief that the nation's destiny was tied to the people willing to protect its most vital borders. As the 1800s progressed, the significance of Texas to the United States only grew. The state's vast lands, strategic rivers, and resilient population were more than resources. They were the backbone of America's southern defense, the front line that allowed the nation to grow without fear of southern incursions. The lessons of the frontier were clear. The security of a nation was inseparable from the courage of those who guarded its borders. Texas had become indispensable, a living testament to the strength, vision, and determination of the American people. The frontier towns, forts, and patrols did more than defend the southern edge. They created a network of stability that encouraged settlement, commerce, and innovation. Farmers cultivated the plains, merchants established trade routes, and communities thrived under the protection of vigilant Texians and rangers. Each success reinforced the idea that Texas was not just a remote territory, but a pillar of American power, a state whose people exemplified the nation's spirit of independence and endurance. From Washington, D.C. to the Gulf Coast, Americans recognized that the security provided by Texas allowed them to dream bigger, expand further, and assert their influence across the continent. Texians became heroes, celebrated for their grit and unflinching commitment to defending the frontier. Stories of courage, ingenuity, and resilience traveled far beyond the borders of the state, inspiring generations of Americans. Children learned of patrols along the Rio Grande, the bravery of settlers defending homesteads, and the strategic role Texas played in securing national sovereignty. The state's contributions were woven into the identity of the United States itself, symbolizing what could be achieved when ordinary citizens confronted extraordinary challenges for the greater good. By the century's close, the Texas frontier had transformed from a chaotic borderland into a well-defended, thriving state, a model of what determination and vision could accomplish. Texans had done more than survive. They had safeguarded America's southern flank, allowed westward expansion to flourish, and laid the foundation for the nation's emergence as a continental power. Their legacy became a cornerstone of American pride, a story of courage and patriotism that continues to resonate. Texas had not merely existed along the frontier, it had defined it, protected it, and in doing so, secured the future of a growing, ambitious, and proud nation.